We're going to be seeing major changes to the world of Rust soon, and one of them is going to be radioactive water. All I've seen so far is that it'll be found in the new small Radtown monument, it will be collectible, and most importantly, you'll be able to contaminate other sources of water with it. That means we'll be able to use a trap that's similar to the one that you freeze players to death with in the snow by using a sprinkler and radioactive water. The exact details so far are up in the air as to how players are going to take damage from this, so we'll have to wait and see until it fully releases, but there's a strong chance we'll be able to make a trap like this with it. And as you can see here, it's quite simple, and we're using a barrel as a buffer to store water in it from a water catcher that will contaminate with radioactive water in the future. We can then use that radioactive water to radiate players, and I've got this base to showcase a very simple example of how you would go about doing this. We're luring players in by making it look like somebody went deep on this base, and then they get trapped via a pressure pad, triggering all the doors to close, the sprinkler to turn on, and no matter what they do, they cannot turn it off, unless they break it, of course. And all of this, including the wires and the door controllers, are completely hidden from the outside of the base until you've entered in and stepped on the pressure pad. And by then, it's too late. Per usual, to start off the guide, we've got the Rustrician Link that you can follow along with in the description, and I've ripped everything out of the base and placed it on a flat wall over here so you can see it all in one spot. The first thing I want to show you is how we've got our door controllers set up. You're going to want to make sure you place these on the inside facing away from where the players that you're trapping will be entering from so that they don't see them, and we're going to be taking the pass-through and wiring it up to the close on all of our door controllers. In this case, we're using 3. First, we're going to need some power. You can just put a solar panel facing north and plug it into a small battery because this will only ever use power for a fraction of a second when somebody steps on the pressure pad. And for the same reason, you might be able to get away without using a solar panel at all if you don't plan on using this for multiple days. Next, we're going to take the output of our small battery and plug it into an electrical branch. We're then going to set the branch out to 1 and use it to power a smart switch. This is how we're going to reset our memory cell, which is what toggles on our sprinkler and closes our doors and keeps them closed. And the reason we're using a smart switch is not only because we can use it with Rust Plus, but because anybody that's not authorized on the TC will not be able to interact with it. Therefore, you can place it in the room where the players are getting radiated if you really need to. So we've plugged in the output of our smart switch into the reset on the memory cell. Now we're going to take a splitter and take the outputs of the splitter into 3 different door controllers, wiring it up so that the wire sticks to the door, and then making sure that the enemy players will not be able to see this wire inside your base. The new slack feature, by holding shift and scroll wheel with a wire in your hand, makes it a whole lot easier to hide this through foundations in cases like this where the wire needs to go across the floor. So make sure you keep that in mind when you're trying to hide your wires in your base. We're then going to power all of these door controllers by placing down another electrical branch and taking the right side of it and pulling it down. The memory cell has a reverse output and a regular output. We're going to take the right side regular output and use that to power this new electrical branch. This will be our trigger. We're then going to place down 2 more electrical branches and come back to our first one, take the right side of it and chain them all together like so. On this middle branch here, we're going to take the left side branch out and we'll be using this to power our memory cell, and we're going to set the branch out on that to 7. And in its disabled state, which is indicated by the red dot, the left side inverted output is the only side that is active. So our regular output on our memory cell is currently at 0 power until a player steps on the pressure pad, which is the next thing that we're going to set up. So on our last electrical branch, we're going to take the left side of it, set it to 1, and then use this in this AND switch on the left side and pull the right side of the AND switch to the output of a pressure pad. Now the left side of the AND switch will always be powered, and the right side will be powered whenever a player steps on the pressure pad, therefore allowing power to pass through once both actions occur. So we're going to take the output of the AND switch and drag it all the way over to the set function on the memory cell, and this is what will trigger those actions to happen whenever a player steps on the pressure pad. And this is 95% of the circuit completed. If you do step on the pressure pad, you're going to need to reset it by using your smart switch, and make sure that you don't accidentally step on it in between resetting it. So you're going to need to flip the switch on and off and then reopen all the doors manually, and that is how you'll reset the trap. There's ways you could reset it with a smart switch, but I figured this would be the easiest way for people to learn about how to do this for the first time. To finish up, we're grabbing the left side of our electrical branch above the memory cell and dragging it over to the toggle function on a pump. And that's all you need to do there. It's powered and ready to go, and it'll turn on whenever somebody steps on the pad. And then from here, it's about how do we get the radiated water to the sprinkler? And my thought process was, well, I'm going to use a barrel with a water catcher above it so that gravity fills up the barrel via the water catcher. And then by using this pump with a toggle on it, we can plug that barrel into the sprinkler and contaminate it with radiated water, which in theory, the contaminated water will contaminate any new source of water coming in too. So all the water coming from the water catcher will turn into radioactive water. This is the exact same concept that you would use for a snow trap where you would freeze players to death with water, so this also works for that. From here, your objective is to figure out how you're going to hide your wiring, where you're going to put your components, and how you're going to deal with players once they're trapped inside of the base, as well as how you're going to lure them into the trap in the first place. This is also something you can use as a defense mechanism during online raids and trigger it with a seismic sensor. But that's all I got for you guys today. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, leave a dislike if you didn't, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Join the Crucible grounds today, the ultimate test of your survival and skills in Rust.